Hi, Misha here, and it's honestly a nicer day than we thought. It's Labor Day when we're recording this. You recognize this, the FN PS90. I was a very early adopter of this gun back in 06. I had fired a select fire version a few years previous, maybe 02, 03 at a military contractor's. It was local. So this is my standard one with the so-called Secret Service optic. Wanted to bring this out because Fox has never shot this, or I don't think even a 5.7 in general, but ammo has been really hard to get, especially the FN stuff. And this recently appeared on the market for honestly a pretty reasonable price. Fiocchi, 40 grain, 5.7 by 28. Picked up a couple of boxes. Looks like they're 150 round little things. It's called range ammo. Curious if it'll work in the PS90. Before we get going, I will say all the mags we're using will be FN, and this gun has been shot more than a few times, so I trust the gun and the mags. So if we have failures, we know it's the ammo. So with that, we're going to try out some ammo, and if that works, hopefully let Fox shoot the PS90 for the first time. And as always, if you could, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to help support us, check us out over on Patreon. With that, before it gets to be high noon, let's try, hopefully, running a few rounds through this. Fiocchi, let's see how it goes. Alright, Fox, your turn. Sweet. For the first test mag, I just loaded up a handful of rounds. Didn't want to fill it all the way up if we were going to have issues. Yes, I understand that Fiocchi is involved in manufacturing the SS-197 for FN. Fiocchi also has been, or is still currently, part of manufacturing the American Eagle. And I assume the reason the American Eagle, distributed by Federal, I believe, isn't so successful in some PS90s at least, it's a little bit lower overall velocity, a little less power than SS-197. At the end of the day, you've got what works on paper, or should work according to the paper, and then you have the reality of what doesn't work at the range. And with my luck, which isn't usually very good, I'll get the one dud. It just occurred to me that I ordered quite a bit of ammo and didn't even know it would work in the one gun I have chambered for it. So I was quite relieved with that initial magazine. So Fox is setting up targets and about to take his first shot.
And skipping. Whoa. May throw up.
Fox was saying not only has he not ever fired a PS90, he's actually never handled one, so just through pictures. So what's your impressions just on the ergos and seeing it in person?
Man, it looks like some marine wildlife. Like, I feel like you could catch this dude swimming around in the ocean. I don't know, man. It's very strange. I'm not saying it's uncomfortable, but it's different. It's too different. It's ugly different.
Have you looked through the optic yet?
That's what I'm looking through right now, and I like it.
So you understand how it works?
Yes, I understand completely how that works.
That's, some people it's very instinctual, some people it's a learning curve, but I've even noticed the people, once they get it, they get it.
I can tell you right now, I like it a lot. And I will say what stands out the most is the fact that I'm resting my cheek on a magazine. That's kind of odd, but I like it. Dude, let's shoot this ugly bastard.
Let's do it.
Oh, cool.
Now try putting it back in.
Okay. There we go.
All right, let's see how it goes.
First shots. Well, your target's on. Dude.
I would say yes, that was his very first time looking through and shooting with that optic. I'd say it works for you.
Yeah, it works great. I like that optic a lot.
This is the Ring Sights MC 1080 1.0, so unmagnified optic. This was designed specifically for the P90 and appeared on a generation of PS90s as well. The earlier generation of P90s and the first run of PS90s were actually fitted with the Ring Sights HC 1462, which was adapted for this, but not necessarily directly specifically made for it. The original had a polymer housing. It had a white reticle. This has an anodized aluminum housing with a black reticle. Both had tritium for night use and a fiber optic light collector for low light use, although the positioning direction of the collector did change a bit. And there was an electronic version that had a battery instead of tritium, although I've never seen this on the PS90. And of course, these days, both the P90 and PS90 have, well, they've been coming with the rail instead of the optic for a long time, like a lot of guns. But yeah, this is the so-called Secret Service, because it came in about the time they adopted it. And yeah, Fox is doing quite well with it. With that, feeling pretty good with this particular type of Fiocchi ammo, but let's try some rapid fire, put it under a little more stress, and also see how it does for Fox. Me again. She's stable.
You can shoot faster than I can. I did kind of hold off.
And now Fox's second mag.
Dude.
All right, so you put a few rounds now. What do you think?
Man, you know, going into the bullpups, I always assume the trigger is going to be kind of crummy, but this isn't bad. It's still a bullpup trigger, but it's not terrible. I expected it to be a lot worse when I was dry firing it. It's not very punchy. I would say it'd be cool if they had like a little cheek rest or something you could put up here on the top, but
Kind of make mag exchanges harder though.
yeah, you're right. If you put it, yeah,
Because you kind of have to slide the mag.
right.
How do you feel about swapping the mags?
I think it's actually pretty easy to do. If you were going for some tactical reloads, that's not bad at all. That was the first thing that kind of intimidated me, but mag exchange aren't near as bad as they look.
And obviously that optic's catching on. And did you notice there are backup iron sights too?
No, I did not notice there's backup iron sights. Where the hell are they?
To either side of the main optic.
To either side of the main optic. Oh, wow. Maybe I'm not the main optic.
The
How am I not
1
seeing
point.
this?
No. If you look to the sides, there's a notch.
Okay, let me see. Check it out. Dude, that may be the coolest feature I've ever seen on a gun. They're ambi as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, they kind of have to be. Because, yeah. Yeah, that whole gun is pretty much, you could bisect it. It's about as ambi and the left side is mirroring the right as I've ever seen. It's...
Dude, this is a cool gun. Right when you think you've kind of seen it all, you pick up on a few other things. Also like how the charging handle, I thought that I was going to have a hard time getting my finger around that, but it's actually not too bad. Hand stop too. Yeah, back to the trigger. It's not as bad as I assumed it would be. Really interesting gun. It's backpackable too.
Oh yeah, and that's what the standard carbine barrel, if it's an SBR, lob another half a foot off of it.
Can you run these suppressed? Does it have enough?
But that one wouldn't, because it's got the extended barrel, but the standard one is threaded, so yeah, you could put a suppressor. I think FN does make a dedicated military version meant for a suppressor.
Gotcha.
But any short barrel should, they're all threaded, so
cool.
Sure.
Very interesting gun, man. I'm not gonna lie, that the side backup iron sights, that's pretty stinking cool.
How do you feel about the compact ergonomics? Do you feel yourself cramped on it, or does it...
The only thing I really feel myself cramped on is kind of my shoulder to chin and face placement. I feel like I really gotta cram my right side of my face down in it. But as far as like my hand placement, it's not that bad. It's really, I find myself putting my hand further out here on the hand stop. I don't wrap my thumb. I still C-grip it. And with being on my short barrel AR-15s, that's kind of natural. But the only thing that feels a little cramped is having to cram my face in and kind of hunker down to the gun. I feel like I really gotta put my body forward and cram my right side of my face down in it. But that could be ear pro related too.
Could be. It's also meant to be a PDW, so space is a concern for the makers.
And I'm sure on that video, the people watching and hearing rapid fire keeping on a small target, that was pretty easy. It did not have a whole lot of recoil, and some of that could be because of how compact this is and how close together my hands are and how tight I have it put in. But man, yeah. This may be, and this may be close to my new favorite bullpup.
Fox commented about the trigger. He said when he was dry firing it, it was meh, but when he was actually shooting it, he liked it. In fact, he complimented it more than once. It is a quite smooth trigger, not bad for a bullpup considering the connections all the way back here. It really is not bad. I have noticed personally that this type of sliding trigger, like a 1911, feels better to me on a bullpup than the pivoting or hinged style trigger that you find on like the original Tavors. I just think the linkage works better for these. But yeah, he seemed to appreciate the trigger quite a bit, which I don't guess it surprised me. I never really think much about the P90, PS90 trigger, but yeah, it is not horrendous. Yep, coming down pretty good. So we're gonna go break for lunch, and I'm sure hopefully by the end of that we'll pick back up with our Labor Day shoot. You know, so far we haven't had any failures, and yeah, pretty good accuracy. Hopefully the luck continues. I'm gonna be honest, my weekend, Saturday and Sunday both, two different places, two different reasons completely, horrible luck. But yeah, maybe it's turning around. God, that sounds like famous last words, doesn't it? You can come visit me in the hospital when something blows up. Seriously, that's how this weekend's gone. The little late summer thunderstorm did indeed blow through by the time we were done eating. And since I had a few mags with us and we had an open box of ammo, might as well keep on afterwards. These mags are actually fun to load, light. And I picked up a couple of these carriers years ago, I think on Amazon or something. The FN branded ones, I don't believe they're even in production now, but even when they existed, they were ridiculously expensive. Check it out if you don't believe me. With that, I'll tape back over, and I think I'll try slow firing, just to, see what this do again. And we're trying different mags out each time. I think I brought 3 out with this total. PS90, post lunch. The P90 PS90 has a unique ejection system, shooting it out the bottom. That was done not only to be ambidextrous, but also to not kind of bounce casings around in tight places or, scatter them about. It had a lot of military applications, and it's also very easy to put a brass collector. I've got one somewhere in here from the get-go. One pro tip, there's a little dust cover. Do not shut this if your bolt is hot from firing. You won't melt the cover itself, but you will melt this little ridge. I did that with my very earliest one. It's not super melted, but at the very tip. So if you got one, only lock it closed when it's not hot. But of course that does mean it shoots it down towards your feet. and you have to kind of be mindful of that. They more fall out than really shoot out with a lot of force. When I had my original one, though, we were out at the cabin years and years ago, and one went straight down my pants. Not shorts, but pants. And that was a hot casing, and not an easy way to get it out, so I was kind of doing it a fun walk. You know, one good thing, I don't have to worry about being hit by casings with this one.
No, just my feet. Now let's reach out a little bit. Bring in still. Let's see if I can reach out to it. Man, what a tack driver. I don't think it's... Awesome. Let's empty it quick. Oh, do we have a jam? Failure to completely feed. And clear.
Right there was our first failure of the day, although it was an easy fix. We're not 100% sure if it was a true jam/malfunction. If so, was it caused by the gun, the ammo, or the magazine? I'm also wondering if maybe Fox's arm was not kind of hugging this and blocking the ejection port, and when it shot down, it hit his arm and bounced back up and kind of caused the bolt not to go all the way forward, because as you saw, it was a very easy fix, so the bolt just wasn't quite seated. We weren't sure, hard to say, but we'll keep an eye on it, see if anything else happens throughout the day. And since we have Fox here, we'll continue to see about accuracy, since that's not really what you get from me. You get history and stuff from me, but we've done that in previous P90, PS90 videos, so this one's pretty much all about the range time, the ergonomics, and the handling. Now that we've kind of pretty well established that this type of Fiocchi 40 grain ammo works just fine. So for the next mag, I gave Fox the challenge of rapid fire as quick as he can, but keeping it balanced, target, yada yada. And like he pointed out, the target is a bit of ways out.
Let's go to town. As you can see, that target is bouncing all over the place, so I will give this thing credit. All that grouping, 75% I can see from here is in a... I'm just going to walk the camera up there. That wasn't terrible. Pretty good grouping right in this area, and then low right. And we only shot here once. Yeah, not too bad for a bullpup. So we're a pretty good ways away. I like it.
So it was a good time. We had a lot of fun with this. It's always a fun gun, but the issue is ammunition. And this stuff, I'm not going to say is cheap. The 5.7 was never going to be cheap. But it's more affordable and more available, at least at this time, than the FN branded stuff. So, yeah, but I wasn't sure bringing it, if it would work. So I actually went around and grabbed 15 or so loose FN cases. I actually had a full box of FN, I think it was SS 198. And I had it set on the edge of a cabinet for a while, intending for that to be our control. And I moved that cabinet, and I'm sure I put that ammo, that box, in a super safe place. Not a damn clue where I did. I looked for over an hour, even considered not bringing the PS90 if I couldn't at least have the one full box of FN ammo, because I didn't want to chance it with the Fiocchi. Did I mention my luck's not always that good? In the end, though, I'm glad I did. The Fiocchi worked fine. In fact, I even forgot to shoot the handful of rounds here, but I wanted to throw these in just to know I had a handful of rounds. Yeah, at least was a point for Fox to try, because yeah, he had never handled this, and I wanted to give him the experience and give you guys more data for accuracy in the optic, just for fun. It's a unique firearm, built for a certain purpose, and it's an import, and it's a bullpup. And you've heard me talk about it for years. So with that, let's go to Fox's man cave and have some final discussions. And as with a couple of the other recent videos from that Orange Day, the sound was very low volume. J-Ro has cleaned it up as best he could. But apologies and please forgiveness for the background hiss. It will be there. But it's not as bad as I feared it would be. So with that, let's wrap this up.
Alrighty guys, so the main reason I wanted to take the PS90 out was to see how the new Fiocchi 40 grain, I believe it is, would run in it. I got really excited because the price was relatively fair for 5.7. It was about $200 on a sale for 450 rounds, free shipping. Frankly, roughly 40 cents a round is as good as you're going to get. And then after I bought it, I thought, oh crap. I remember in the past, American Eagle did not like to run in a lot of PS90s. So I was a little crossing fingers if I didn't just waste money because I don't have any other guns in that caliber. So it was a big relief to me that the ammo ran very well. We had that one kind of oddity, but I'm not sure.
I think that was where my hand placement.
I'm not sure your hand didn't block the ejection and force the bullet to kind of stop the bullet. Either way, it was one out of about 200 rounds fired.
Yeah, and I do think that was kind of where my forearm was.
Yeah, because when you're doing it, because when they eject down, if it bounced back up off your arm, it could have. Honestly, in the BZ61 Scorpion, not to get off too of a tangent, but the way it ejects upward, I've had it jam when a cartridge goes up, it flies back down into. It's a freak accident.
Oh yeah, but
it can happen.
Yeah, you're basically flipping a coin.
We'll keep an eye. If it happens again, we'll let you know. But all in all, initially going to give a thumbs up for the ammo. So with that said, they know my opinion on the PS90, but when we're out, you had a few questions or whatnot, and also any final thoughts since we're together.
It's still a gun that I'm sitting here, shot all day, spent time around it, and I just can't help but stare at it. In pictures, I expect it to be bigger, but when I get this in person and my large hands are really getting in on this gun, it's just different. It's so different that you can't dislike it, even though it's not the most comfortable gun. But going back to what its intentions were, being a vehicle gun or spec ops gun, close quarter combat stuff, it's just
Killing go.
Yeah, exactly. It's just different. I don't think I ever got truly comfortable with where my hands were, but it wasn't bad enough to where while I was shooting and engaging, that's what I was.
It's like a lot of little PDWs, like a cream grain of that. They're not as comfortable as a full size, but it's always that balance of how small and light can we get it while still being comfy.
I still think there to just be something neat if up here where behind the mag on this, there was something to put your cheek on, because this isn't exactly my most favorite thing to lay my head on.
I'm not sure what you could do.
There's a pad or something back there. Guys, I'm not in any way like a baby.
The thing is, because of this, you have to. This is about as sharp as you.
That's true. If that was raised.
This is the clearance you got. There's not a lot of room there.
You can't really do much. But even if it was just like a small pad, I don't know. It sounds like I'm talking about I need a tampon on my gun, but it's just not with the ear pro. It was a little odd. And I feel like if you were a really big person, and I'm not the biggest, but
it can also be one hand too, which is kind of. It's double hand's always better. But
of course, but it's laid out where you can.
You could almost use it like a pistol in the need.
Yeah, it's a unique gun, and I'm really happy I got to shoot one.
And I thought it was neat that you picked up on that optic immediately.
No, the optic was like second nature. I don't know what it is about it, but it's something about that big circle, and I don't know, man. The optic in my eyes.
What we've observed over the years is if someone like closes an eye or tries to squint and really view through it doesn't work. But if they just pull it up, both eyes open, and just look through it naturally, it comes right into focus.
I don't think
Says
I ever
the blind guy. But keep in mind, guys, even if I can't see it firsthand, I've owned a PS90 for well over 15 years in one way or another. So I've had a lot of different friends because that's one of those guns that everyone wants to try, and I'm happy to let them. If I have ammo, which in the past hasn't always been the case.
It's rewarding to shoot too. It's not punchy, and it's easy to keep on target. It's just a cool gun. It gives you a little bit of tactical vibe, but it also gives you such a compact.
In the Glock 42 video, there was comments that all the pistols are just Glock clones today, and they're not wrong, but that's one of those few guns that is
it's kind of its own.
Yeah, the cartridge, the magazine, even the optic, but the gun, it was one of the clean sheet designs, and you don't really get that much these days.
Well, I'll be honest, the first thing that always turned me off about these guns is I am a shooter where mag exchanges are so important, especially if I was using this gun in a combat-oriented situation, which likely will never happen. But that's what's always turned me off about these kind of guns. But then after getting it and being able to, it was really easy to do mag exchanges with this. I mean, and once I was able to see that and experience that, it really started allowing me to open up with, hey, this is kind of a practical gun.
Yeah, they're not as bad as you think. And even though I like to kind of pull back the mag catch to put the mag in just to ease wear and tear, you can just pop it straight in. You don't have to manipulate it if you're in a hurry.
I will say it'd be cool if the charging handle stuck out a little more. I do not like the sling placement over here.
Well, the sling is an aftermarket.
Of course.
Yeah, it's meant for a single point.
Right, and I do like this sling. I like a 2-point sling, but I would also like, kind of like on my AUG, I put the...
it's convertible. It's a single point convertible. Yeah. I just like having 2 points because I feel it gives better control. Like when you...
I agree.
To me, when you've got a single point sling and you've slung it, it's just, the muzzle is floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
With a single point, I feel like I've got good control over where the muzzle's pointing, even hands-free.
I feel like the only time you can really get away with a single point is on like the K, the MP5K, or something.
And even then, it's just kind of dangling.
It's not the funnest. I'm not a big single point fan. They may have a purpose. But.
And as to the charging handle, that was actually intended by FN to keep it slim. Because
no hang-ups.
Yeah, again,
exiting vehicles.
And just fitting in a small pack under a seat. They really couldn't afford to have, again, everything's a compromise in life.
It is.
And that was designed for a purpose.
To me, the safety is just too cool. It's kind of like a little pancake with 2 grooves. It's just,
the FS2000 has the same safety.
The tactical tuner?
Exact same safety.
Cool. So they did kind of get a little...
Yeah, the FS is where the F2000 is definitely based on the P90. They're sisters or if not cousin designs.
Overall, fun gun.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to experience it. I'm glad we found ammo. And man, I don't know. This may be a gun that here in a few months I revisit and I may buy one.
And there's enough of them out there now. They've been on the market. So you run into them, especially the pick rail version, which
I kind of like the pick rail version.
Yeah, so you run into them at a good price because people get tired of the ammo costs. And
right.
Surprisingly, the mags are quite cheap for what you think.
Yeah, that was the first thing I picked up on. Is I what are these $50, $60 mags? You're like, no, $30, $40.
Yeah, like, for the FNs, they're not bad.
I really expected them to be a lot more, just because they, I don't know, they look expensive.
Yeah, and they're just kind of, because they are, except for the spring all plastic. So.
Right.
They're cool. And you'd think they'd be finicky, but they're not.
No.
That feed channel.
They're actually really easy to load too.
I think because it kind of forces it into a single feed system, it does keep it pretty straight. And they're easy to load because of the 45-degree angle going in. Like you're not even loading it more. You're not really having to directly fight that spring.
Right.
So it makes hand loading pretty easy.
Yeah, and this gun's all barrel. There is absolutely no weight to this. No weight at all.
I really want to SBR it, but I want to do it with an FN barrel because the guy's like, we'll get a CMMG barrel. Guys, I'm not going to take a Belgian gun and put an American. I'm sure the CMMG barrel is a nice barrel, but FN's known for their barrels.
Right.
So I don't want to SBR it if I can keep an FN barrel in it.
Right.
And I thought I had one. A friend thought he had one, and then he went back. Oh, sorry, it's not. I don't have one.
Not it.
But one day, some email will come in about 10.5 FN P90 barrels, and then I'll do it. And then I'll SBR because that would be a cool one to SBR. As I've told them in previous videos, I've had them, sold them, regretted it, got them again, sold them again because of the ammo. I figured this time when I got another one, it just ended up being a keeper.
Yes.
It's one of those guns I really miss it when I don't have it.
I can see why, because it's so unique and different.
Nothing
It gives you a Kind of gives you a break in the collection.
And one nice thing too, I wasn't sure how 5.7 as a round would hang on, and it's not ever going to be like super popular.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's been on the market 20 years and is still on the market means it'll
It's
be one
here
of
to
those.
stay.
It's one of those little niche rounds,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be. What was that? Like 224 Valkyrie or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's just here. There's so many rounds like that that are just flash in the van.
Pop up and then disappear.
Yep. So cool. I'm glad it went well. We had some fun with it. And the ammo works. So if anyone was wondering, yeah, the Fiocchi for us worked. And it comes in these giant boxes, which is
150 round. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like 22 bullets.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
But the ammo all seemed nice and clean. We didn't have like loose bullets or dumped powder. All the cartridges, none of them are corroded or gunky or weird.
I've had good luck with their 9mm too.
They've always been a pretty good value. And like for 32 auto, that's kind of the go-to. Like Fiocchi 32 is what Checkpoint recommends for the Scorpion. So, give it a go. Glad I did, because I probably bought like 4 cases of that. Because you just can't get the ammo. It's like it could be gone. And,
Right.
and,
It was a fun range day with it. I'm glad you got it.
It was one of the days that worked out really well.
To me, this would be an awesome woods, kind of lightweight. It would be an awesome backpack, kind of. I don't know if you needed to reach out past 100, 150 yards with a small gun. This one would do it.
And you can carry it safely.
No, that's the deal.
There's a lot of safety because it is meant to be a PDW, a backup gun.
Yeah.
Almost a pistol that you can just sling. And
It really is, and there's no parts that can catch, and I see why it's the way it is, and smooth and rounded, and kind of a figure 8.
And I understand why they went away from the more or less proprietary optic. Yes, I know sight ring is technically not, but it was kind of made for that gun.
Well, you can tell it looks like it's totally a
But I also understand why in modern times the pick rail systems it is more practical. But when that gun was designed in the late 80s, early 90s, there weren't the little micro dots.
No,
I mean,
we didn't have
about the
it,
smallest optic that existed was like the G36 dual optic.
Exactly.
So they did the best they could with the tech of the day. But I understand 20 years later why they have gone to that.
For sure, man.
Yeah. Cool beans. Well, let us know what you think, guys. Glad I got to share that with him. It's something he's been wanting to try out. And, yeah, if you've got any experience with the ammo or PS90s, let us know.
I'm interested to get other people's takes on these.
Yeah. With that, this is Misha.
This is Fox.
We'll catch you very soon.